Kid from Gary, Indiana, you know, with a father who worked at a steel mill, you know, to the largest pop icon in the entire world. And he went from black to white. Yeah. Like, literally, like, let's look at the metaphorical transition of that. Yeah. You know, just really just observe the mythology of that. You know, changing colors, changing skin colors, changing tone. And the more he grew in fame, the more he grew in wealth, the more he grew in opulence, the lonelier and lonelier and lonelier he became. Yeah. The more the projection grew, the less the inner him got to be able to be witnessed and seen, you know, and it showed you that this whole idea of the American dream, that fame and money can free us, is really an illusion.
Complete illusion.
It's a complete illusion,
yeah. And
it's completely corrupt. And it shows us the whole hero's journey of how the whole media, the whole world will build us up only just to tear us down at our highest moments, you know? Yeah. And then when we die, to glorify us. Yeah. You know, just this whole witness of this journey and this story. And
it's like he took one for the team by showing us, like, in every step of his life, the whole process and how, like you said, the illusion of it, but also through that, where the gold is, like what really does. What do we value as human beings in each other? You know, it's like that sense of innocence and purity and beauty and conviction and passion that he embodied throughout, even though, like you said, his shell went through this transformation and he was less and less able to be accessed the more, you know, famous he became. And yet, at the same time, those of us who really saw, you know, and continue to see him for who he is and the path that he paved for all of us. It's like, what are we willing to do, you know, for our passion and for, you know, what do we value in human connection, and whether we're an artist or a dancer, a singer, a painter, a writer, whatever. It's like he gave us the codes of, like, what are you willing to do for your dream?
Totally. Well, are you recording? You are? Okay, so this is Elijah Ray from Elijah and the Band of Light. And literally it is a band of light. I came to meet Elijah here almost a month ago when he was putting on a beautiful event in this house, which we'll show you behind us. And I was struck because when I first walked in, there was this powerful energy I felt of that purity, of that innocence, of that love that I felt resonate from Michael right away. And I came there and I was fully dressed as Michael, and you started rocking Michael's songs, and it just that energy just became so apparent and so clear that I was in the presence and I was in the field of that same frequency that Michael was bringing. And I knew I needed to interview Elijah because very few people in the world of music can understand the purity of that frequency, of that vibration that Michael was carrying beyond what he appeared to be in the projection of the media and the masses, and go behind that whole story right to the essence of that love and that deep connection, and be transmitting that through. And it's evidence because if you witness one of Elijah's beautiful, I can't even call them concerts, there's something different.
Yeah,
like
I've been searching for the word for what they really are for my whole life, and it feels like experience is the closest thing I've come to.
It really is.
It's just a Band of Light experience.
It is. You take people on a journey of deep truth, a journey of deep witnessing, and it feels like you're actually taking Michael's work further.
Thank you, brother.
You're taking what he started and the pulsation of love that he started, and you're taking it now and you're wrapping it with this mature arms of self-awareness. And maybe you can share a little bit about how Michael has influenced you in your journey and what he means to you.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you. I'm just laughing because I'm recalling the first moment we met. When as you said, you came into the Band of Light with fully dressed like Michael, the sequin, the glove, and everything. And I was just about to start dropping the beat for "You Want to Be Starting Something," and then I saw you. It's just like, oh my God, this is the perfect moment. And so I just want to thank you for, for bringing His Spirit, so clearly, and in a way we all are taking it further, right? It's like He's definitely one of my heroes that has. It's like I've gone through different phases of my life of being present with His work, and I've noticed that when I was a kid and I was in my deepest divine innocence and awakening of music and awakening of my dance body and awakening of spirit, right, embodied. I was watching his videos, as we all were, on the television.
Moonwalker.
Yeah, Moonwalker, exactly. I just actually ordered that DVD again. We did a Moonwalker night the other night. But it had been since I was a kid that I really was like deeply immersed in that world and deeply feeding off of it, like daily, just wanting to watch more Michael Jackson videos. And I remember I was on the playground one day, sometime in grade school, and I remember I was just doing my moves and practicing my MJ, right? And I had my eyes closed, and I was just like in my joyful dance body. And there was a couple kids that came up, and one of them like punched me right in the chest. And I had my eyes closed, and he like punched me in my heart, basically. And he was just like, "You're dancing like a girl," whatever the school kid, kind of put down was at that time. It was just so classic, like movie script material of like being in my greatest joy, inspired by this man I saw on TV that I just was in love with, and then practicing on the field and be like, "You can't do that." So it's like, of course, what happened was like, shut down,
of course.
And
of course.
And so it took me like the better part of my life to actually like come back around, and it's been mostly through music, but dance, as you know, MJ showed us like the power of dance. Even if you have the mute button on, you can be watching his videos, and it's such a transmission. It's such an inspiration. So yeah, I mean, MJ for me, as I feel for you and many of us, was he paved the way and showed me what was possible. When it comes to expressing yourself from full crown to root. Right? It's like he brought the crown all the way down. He wasn't afraid to share his sexuality, his innocence. In the same breath, he would be like, children would be coming on the stage, like with opening a book, and it would be angels, and then he'd be grabbing his crotch, and the next it's because it's all the same. We're all spirit. We're all source. There's no differentiation between these different aspects that we say, oh, this is taboo, and don't go there, but you can go here. He didn't have that. He was just like a big kid, right? Just shining and sharing. So that's what was most inspiring for me, and I feel why so many children have been drawn to him, because they see his innocence. Right?
Well, that's the interesting part. One thing I love, and this is a teller about Michael, is that children love him. Children are innocent. Children are pure. They don't come with any of the preconceptions or notions or influences by the media and factors and people around him. I remember when I was a kid, 5-6 years old, I was rocking Michael. I was dancing, and I can still remember feeling love, like pure love for this being. And I never physically met him. I literally just coming through sound vibration and coming through video. So I'm wondering how, through this projection of light and sound, do we come to feel such a deep emotional connection with a being that we have never met, actually physically met, yet we feel like we've known him our whole lives.
It's a very personal connection,
isn't it?
Yeah, within the impersonal figure that he's become, there's a personality that kind of whispers through his music to each of us as listeners, and we connect into that. And that's that, again, I feel that's that innocence and purity that's at the core. It's like when you, just by hearing his voice, it activates something in yourself. Like, this is a being who's living their divine innocence, and it's just like for the world to see, here I am. And I love how Michael said at one point, if you really want to know me, listen to my music and check out the lyrics. Actually check out what's going on in my art. You think you know who I am out here, but check out the lyrics. That's my soul. I give it all to you guys, right? I so relate to that as an artist and a musician. I have an understanding of that feeling, because it's often the same for me. I definitely put everything into the band of light. It's like there is no separation between the experience that you walked into and who I am every day and every night. That's kind of my internal environment expressed outwardly. And so he gave us that, and he gave us a lot of that, for a whole lifetime to download.
So when Michael put on his concerts, he was not just a musician; he was a full-on entertainer.
Yeah.
Of all calibers.
Oh man.
I mean, his concerts, you just watch them, and how someone can put on a 3-hour concert, singing, dancing, and putting on the whole show back to back.
Amazing.
Hundreds of concerts at a time. The way he does, I don't even get it.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how energetically that's possible, but he does. And so, what is it about his concerts that really inspire you, and his performance that really inspires you?
What an entertainer he is! It's such a vast entertainer, not just music, but he's singing while he's dancing, while he's performing, and there's incredible choreography and the band, and he's at the same time, beyond all those things that we can see, he's holding this energetic space and wrapping whatever the stadium or whatever the venue is, the whole world in his energy field. You can feel him go there. He could, there's
Beautiful.
different, as an entertainer and a performer myself, I noticed that I always am dancing to find this space between what is performance and what is that activation where people can step into experience and feel like they're part of it, right? That's like where we enter co-creation. And he was so good at doing that, just with his energy field. Even though his band was tight, they were rehearsed, they had it down, he had a way of expanding his energy field so that everybody felt like they were right there with him, like he was speaking to them. And that's true mastery. That's what many of the different masters of all walks of life had that thing that they could do, which is that they could bring you into their energy field, and you would actually you became activated just by being in their presence. And MJ had that, and he did that for the whole world.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Because that's actually one of the chapters in our book. One of the chapters is called The Energetic Container. It's funny you mentioned that.
Yes.
And one other chapters is called Concerts, a Ritual in Disguise. Right? And the reasons why we have those two chapters is because you see Michael jump out onto stage, and he just, boom, stands there. And he'll stand there for 1 minute, and he'll stand there for 2 minutes, and he'll stand there for 3 minutes. And people are just going nuts, and they're just going wild. And he's just absorbing.
Yeah.
He's literally like a sponge, absorbing the entire field around him. 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 people, all screaming Michael, and he's just standing there, just absorbing the entire field, absorbing it, putting his container out, and whenever he's ready, he just goes, boom, literally blasts it right back.
Yeah.
And before the concert even starts, there's people fainting. His energy level is calibrated at such a level that people's energy systems and their nervous systems are just being literally maxed out on such a level that they just go boom.
Right. Oh, it's so powerful. Yeah, it's like he's sitting in the center of, it's like resting in that space between magnetism and expansion, right? So he's like in that space where, as you said, he's like a sponge, but he's also radiating it out. So it's like this toroidal field, right? That from his heart he's creating, and that's so cool. I can't wait to read your book. It sounds like we're digging a lot of the same concepts.
Totally. I think Michael was here to really spread a message of love, to spread a message of innocence, of peace.
Amen.
He was someone who felt the earth as a living being. In his poems, Dancing the Dream, he talks about the Mother Earth as a living being. He talks about feeling her pain and about her empathy. The thing about Michael is that because he grew up in the environment that he did, he had so little chances to have genuine interactions with real people who really saw him, not just the projection. And he was always seeking to find someone who could just see his soul beyond the projection. And he entertained the whole world, and his love touched the whole world. But inside, deep inside, I don't feel he felt very seen. And for me, I feel each one of us is here to kind of carry a different piece of that energy.
Amen.
And you, Elijah, with your band of light, I really feel him watching down on you. I feel that he'd be really joyous and happy and proud of what you're doing. I'm not just bringing people into a performance, but actually doing what he was never really able to do, which was speak those larger messages into the world and have them received. You know, he didn't feel that at his time he could be received for those deeper messages that he was trying to convince.
Yeah.
So he was an entertainer, but he wrote those poems, and if you read those poems, you're like, wow, he never was able to say this because he never felt that there was a container for him really to be heard.
Right.
And if you look at the book Dancing the Dream, they don't even sell on Amazon anymore. They're out of print. People didn't really buy them. They wanted to see the Michael Jackson on stage. They didn't want to feel the Michael, you know, inside
That's amazing.
and really see it. And so
I feel like that's his most touching work.
Yeah.
You know, for me.
Yeah.
There's a poem that he recorded. I'm not sure what album it was released on. Maybe it was called History, that album. But there was a poem he wrote called Planet Earth.
Oh,
Did you ever hear
cool.
the recording
No,
of that?
I never heard it.
We should listen to that today, maybe
Yeah,
after
I
this
love that.
interview, because it's hearing his voice speak the poetry, and it's like, it just makes me want to cry every time I hear it, because you can feel how deeply devoted he is to the earth as a living being. Like, she is, I think he even says in so many words, you are my love, you are the love that I've come here for, right? And I could so deeply relate to that feeling since I was a kid, of not feeling seen. And it's like, where are the others who came here to love Mother Earth as deeply as I have? Like, where we actually feel like she's my beloved and we will do anything for her, and what can we do to uplift her? It's like, where are the others who are that passionate about her? So I can understand that part of Michael and his journey to be seen and witnessed for who he really was. And the entertainer is like the music and the dance and all this is like a vehicle for consciousness, and yet the consciousness that's riding on that vehicle of his transmission was missed by a lot of people.
That's the key.
So it's like, if we can, see through the form into what is riding on this vehicle of his form, of the vehicle. And it's like with any artist, right? It's like you can go and see an amazing painting or hear an amazing song, and it's like, that's a vehicle of consciousness, and then the consciousness that's singing through that vehicle, it's that subtle voice, it's that thing that you have to really become quiet inside to witness it. And if you're too busy screaming, you might not get that peace, because you're so thrilled just to be in his presence, or so, star crazed, right? And yet, so I feel what you said is true, because obviously he's not here to be able to ask him this, but just in my heart I do feel that he didn't feel seen, for that part of himself that was the whole point of the whole inspiration behind his gift and what he wanted to give the world. Yeah. And yet, that being said, those of us who do see it, right now he's smiling, knowing that his mission was fulfilled, and that we're all here to take it a step further and a step further and a step further. So thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
For what you gifted us all.
Yeah, that's why this book is called Man Behind the Mirror.
Wow.
Right?
Beautiful.
Yeah. And there's a lot of significance in that, right?
Right, not the man in the mirror, the man behind the mirror.
Because we're always seeing reflections, but what's behind the nature of reflection? The consciousness inside.
Yes.
Right?
The one who's witnessing it all.
And for Michael, the thing is that everybody saw the reflections of the projections through audio or through sound, and created their own image. That's essentially what we do, right?
Yeah.
We see Michael, we see him through video, and we hear him through sound, and we've created an image in our mind of Michael. And then we replay that image of Michael in our mind, and then we have 1 billion or 5 billion of people around the world, all who have created their own image of Michael. Yet that image of Michael is not Michael. It's just an image of him, right? Based on our own constructs, based on our own needs, based on our own desires, based on our own projections, based on all of that, right? And we witness the man in the mirror, but we don't get a chance to witness the man behind that mirror, that deep soul that's yearning to be heard beyond all of that projection. And there's never been an artist like him who literally has just stepped outside of his building and had 20,000 people want to mob him everywhere he goes. No celebrity today can claim that or see that or say that anywhere, right? And
he truly was the king.
He truly was the king.
He wanted to be the king, and he was the king. And like you said, the price that one has to pay for going to that level is there's few people in the world who could even understand a sliver what that's like. I can I can imagine what a sliver of that might be like, but no one truly knows, right? How to create a life and create rhythms in daily life around that kind of reality. And so to be so seen, it's interesting that what's been coming through in this conversation is the feeling or the intuitive belief we have that he didn't feel seen, which I feel is correct. And he spoke to that in some of his interviews and whatnot. And isn't it amazing juxtaposition to be so seen and to feel unseen? Like what an amazing,
that's so true,
mythical mirror that is for us all.
That.
And thinking that, oh, if I can just be seen and more seen and more seen and more seen by the world, or if I can get really wealthy or really famous or really this or really that in the American dream, you know, that somehow we are going to be fulfilled. But actually that's not what fulfills us. What really fulfills us is, even if it's just one person or a child on the street who really sees us for who we are, that's all we're really seeking, you know, is that feeling of connecting to the man behind the mirror. And so
it's beautiful you say that, you know, and I really love how you say that it's really about the vehicle of consciousness, because you know, as a yogi and as someone who studied the Vedas, they say that the universe is created from sound vibration.
Yes.
In the beginning there was a word, and sound vibration and consciousness. And we can, from one of my teachers, Jeffrey Armstrong, who taught me that sound vibration actually penetrates us. Right? It literally penetrates us.
Oh, yes.
And a powerful vibration will penetrate us to the core level of every being. It's actually intimate. It's very intimate. Sound and music is extremely intimate into our beings. And so I feel that the words you were saying were important, but the vehicle of consciousness that was being transmitted behind those words were what touched people. And the reason I mention that is because people in Japan loved him. People in Seoul and Korea loved him.
Yes.
People in Thailand and in Malaysia and in Africa and in India, and most of them probably didn't understand what he was saying.
Right.
They didn't understand his words.
But they could feel it.
But they could feel it. They could feel something so strong that moved them to the core of their being and made them want to cry. He gave people permission, right?
Yeah.
He gave people permission to emote and express.
That's it.
You know, and I see that in your music, you know, that deep feeling of giving people permission to express. You know, maybe you can share a little bit about how you do that within your music, and why your experiences are different than a regular concert.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, because I've been going to concerts since I was a little guy, and I remember every time I come into the space with, whether it's 500 people in a little theater or thousands of people at a huge festival or a stadium, I remember actually like really pondering it a lot as a child. Like, wow, all these humans coming together in one place, and they're all focusing their energy on one thing, which would be the artist or the band or the event. And I used to just trip out on what a potential that is, how much energy that is, what could we do with that much energy. It's like we each as human beings are like these batteries of, you know, of limitless energy, and it's like if we're all pointing and plugging them into one thing together, what could we do with all of that? And that's like my little 5-year-old brain used to just toss that around. And seeing
enlightened 5-year-old brain.
And seeing you know, seeing like MJ and beings who are using that energy to create an initiatory experience, really. It's like the concert went, you know, even though, yes, he was a pop artist and yes, he was an entertainer, but through that there was this consciousness that, as you said, was giving people permission to emote, giving people permission to cry, giving people permission to just faint and have a full spiritual experience, right? That experience that they weren't really having in their church or their school or in their, you know, there's other cultural options that were available to them. Michael gave them something like that. And so in a way, in modern culture where we're really missing some of the real basic tribal initiatory experiences that actually catalyze us into a growth edge and nurturing, you know, what it is to be a responsible human being and be conscious. We're kind of missing some of those elements, and at least certainly in American culture. And so the concert experience has become one of those tribal experiences where it's an initiation for people to go to a festival and to sometimes be experimenting with different substances, and hopefully really consciously. And but at the same time, they're looking for ways to plug into an experience that's an initiatory experience with their tribe. And oftentimes, what's at the center of that, what brings that together? It's music, it's arts, it's, new kinds of cultural activities generally through the arts. And so what I found with Band of Light and like starting to create a rhythm of doing these live experiences and also all the recorded music that we've released so far, I would say the intention and the inspiration behind Band of Light has really been inspired by people like MJ and others who were bringing more than just music to their audience. They were bringing an opportunity to have an initiation, and maybe a small percentage or whatever percentage that is would actually take the cue, feel the energy, stop screaming for a minute to actually feel, wow, what was that lyric he just said, and oh, that evokes something, and now all of a sudden I'm crying. In the Band of Light experience, we like to open those little moments that would tend to just happen every now and again in a concert like that, and open that wide open and bask in there for a while, explore that for a while, get comfortable in that uncomfortable space of what most artists would like offer a moment of co-creation. Hey, let's do a shout back, and then I'm going to go back to my songs that I've rehearsed for this moment. In the Band of Light, it's like I've made my home in the unknown. I made my home in that place that is generally kind of uncomfortable for a lot of artists, which is just to be almost more like jazz music or improv contact dance, where we're just going to open up this field and use this music as a catalyst to explore what's possible in our bodies and with our voices and as a co-creative entity right here and now. So it's like the self-organizing intelligence emerges out of that opportunity. And that another way of saying that is that rather than having an audience out here and an artist up here playing my songs, I've always been so much more inspired by the feeling of kind of like taking that invisible veil that kind of separates us and going like, whoosh, hey, how's it going? How can we create an experience together in this room? Even if you came here thinking you're an audience member, I want to treat you as an equal participant in this experience that is actually going to lift us all higher to another degree of what it means to be embodied, what it means to be using our inspiration and our essence to create a movement of energy that other people can connect to.
This is very powerful, and just so you know how difficult and brave of an endeavor this is, to be able to succeed in this industry of music that we have today. The industry tries to make you to conform to certain standards and certain blocks and ways of being able to promote or project yourself and experience, and the way that the industry thrives is by placing yourself in a pedestal at the top of a pyramid in a chain and having everybody basically worship you, and that's how you succeed in this world. And so what Elijah has done is he's broken the tradition. And what he's trying to do is actually create a co-creative, immersive experience to not make it all about him, but to make it about the entire group, to make it about the group process, the group dynamic, to actually bridge the veil between a concert and a ritual, and a very powerful, collective, immersive group experience where we're all working together and realizing that our energies are actually creating the field, not just Elijah's. And to be able to do that and hold that energy, yet still maintain yourself as an artist in this world is difficult. Yet I feel that you pioneering this is it's like what Michael's doing, and you have to have the bravery and the vision to be able to see that and to be able to move out of your own framework to be able to hold that larger picture. And so
thank you for that reflection, brother.
Yeah, it's really powerful, and I really see this coming through and being a very big global thing. I think this is the next wave of music on our planet. I think this is the next wave of concerts on our planet. And I'm just excited to participate more, to see more, to hold more of that energy and more of that space, and to bring that loving purity and that energy inside.
Me too.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, I want to make Michael proud, wherever he is right now. I want to feel that feeling like on the inside we're getting that high five. Just from him, just like, yeah, you're doing it, guys, because what you just said is so powerful, brother, and I appreciate your reflections so much. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but just to be really honest, it hasn't been easy to create a movement and a musical offering for the world, and to find, you might say, my roots as an artist in the collective on planet Earth at this time, and build rhythms from that space, without doing it the way that everyone else is doing it, and it's like, well, here's the river, you got to jump in your boat and go down that river, and that's how you become an artist. You got to stop along the dock, get your manager, get your agent, or build an audience in this way based on this framework that works, right? And even MJ, he was a part of that framework. He used that to become the biggest pop star there was, and used that to catalyze so much consciousness expansion on this planet. So it's not like, it's not bad to have a framework. It's actually very helpful. Yeah. But we're at this moment in our evolution, I feel, at least as a species, that we're ready for something new, and we're ready to actually become self-responsible. We're getting into a more our mastery transformation models rather than the saviorship model that we've come from, that we've always known, which is that basically, Michael, for a lot of people, was their savior, right? Yeah. And for me, he wasn't necessarily my savior, but he activated me into an even greater potential and revelation of my own purpose on this planet. He showed me, wow, that's what's possible. Exactly. So that's inspiring, and that helps me in my own self-mastery. But he didn't come here to save anyone, even the planet. He came here to inspire it to grow, and so that we all can become more like that, right? More self-empowered, more self-aware, more conscious, making choices that reflect our love of the earth and these kinds of things.
So, Michael had a very difficult time in the industry of music. He did. He was very smart, and once he got beyond his father's control, Joseph's grip, tight grip over him, and controlling, and the Jehovah's Witness, upbringing, which was very controlling, he finally reached a stage where he was able to break out of some of it. But his whole life, he played battles, especially with Sony. Right. Who just was after him for that music collection, and so many times he witnessed people who try to get really close to him, which would actually end up being executives who would be working for Sony and going behind and trying to get information. And it was just it was a very horrible experience, that he actually abhorred the whole industry. Yeah, he really did. Yeah. He saw it for what it was. He saw it for its corrupt nature, from right at the top. And he saw what the music industry did to artists, and how there wasn't real respect and a love for that. And how can you relate to that on your own journey as an artist? And where do you see yourself going beyond that?
It's a very good question. Yeah, I can relate to that in that I've never actually fully engaged and signed a record contract in my life. I've never had a real formal management company behind me or any of that, and yet there's been 3, 4, 5 times along the last 12 years I've had opportunities to plug into that world, and I admit that I've brought my full heart and my full presence to the moment, and been just slightly disappointed with what I've seen when it comes to the integrity and some of the humanity that is behind a lot of that system and a lot of those roles. So I can relate to Michael in that way, that it's not that I abhor the music industry, but I have chosen not to participate in it because I have yet to find access points that are really carrying the level of integrity and purity of the message that I'm choosing to bring. I do think it's possible.
Well, if you were to create that, what would it look like?
Yeah, see, that's the good question. As you notice, I was trying to use as kind of words as possible to answer that question.
I see it. He's a gentle spirit. You guys can all read in between the lines.
And but solutions is where I'm about. So what I've been focused on is how can we actually build a collective of individuals that is all carrying different talents, different skill sets, different inspirations, plug these into each other to support all of our goals and our dreams to come true, right? So there's beings who are really good at managing details, who are really good at setting up tours. There are beings who are really good at starting funding campaigns. There are beings who are really good at performance. There are beings who are really, really good at being a tour manager or being an accountant. And so we're all kind of waking up to the fact that as a collective, we actually have everything we need. So it's like, how can we plug into, it's like, I'm seeing right now, like how all the spokes of the wheel generally plug into this framework that we're used to plugging into, and we think that we have to go to that building where all these spokes of the wheel plug into. But that's just because we've done it that way before. It's just as easy for us to unplug from that, plug our skill sets into something else, right? So the band of light is an emerging collective opportunity for many beings of all kinds, artists and visionaries, performance artists and whatnot, as well as those who have other kinds of skills, like in the realms of management and logistics and all the other aspects of life that make this life possible. So my vision and what I'm saying yes to is finding a more organic and self-organizing way to achieve the same goals that you could in the music industry, with a willing collective of conscious, entrepreneur, visionary soul family. Mm-hmm. And that last word, soul family, is, I feel, the ingredient that we've all been looking for and all been wishing for when it comes to our mission on this planet and the work we do to, say, take care of our basics, like pay the rent and whatnot. We want that experience so much to be merged with the feeling of being with our true soul family, to be with that collective of beings that we know we're here to work and play with. And so many of us pre-2012 have been in this experience of, well, I know my soul family's here, and I have maybe certain brothers and sisters like yourself that I'll meet every now and again. We can create something cool, but then 90% of my week is still working in other realms where I don't feel like I'm even contributing to my soul family at all. It's just like paying the bills. So I feel we're at a time where we do have a spaciousness and an opportunity to unplug from one system of thought and belief system and actually fully plug our roots into Gaia, into this Gaia matrix Earth ship that Michael Jackson was here to serve. As he called it, his true beloved was the Earth. And so I know my true beloved is the Earth too, and I feel that when I plug into her wisdom, and like on Kauai, we have an amazing opportunity to do that every day because of the abundance of the land here and the beauty here. But we also have that in each other, the opportunity to plug in our hearts together as stewards of her, stewards of Gaia, and through that, plugging in or just becoming present to what's possible between us, a new network is becoming uncovered. I feel, it's not something that any one person is guiding or leading. There is no like messiah that's leading this event right now. It's a collective event that is being witnessed in each interaction like this. So I know that was a lot of words to answer your question, but it's a very big question in terms of what are the alternatives to the models we've been shown in the music industry and the models we've been shown as artists or visionaries or entertainers. It's like we are creating a new model, and yet it's still fluid and flexible. It's very much it's still being discovered as to what this model is.
It's gonna come down to how much we're able to have individual self-expression within the collective. How we're able to foster a sense of collaboration instead of competition.
Yes, well said.
Back in Michael's day, music labels could get away with selling CDs for $20 a pop, even though it cost them $1 to make.
Yeah.
Pay the artist 20 cents royalties per album, pocket $19 of the rest, and that money go towards big mafia. Basically, it's how the music industry ran for a long time.
No doubt.
It was pure extortion.
Yeah.
And so this is what happens.
You can see why we don't really want to be a part of it.
No. And so what happens people call it piracy, but if you look at the history of pirates, pirates have actually been beings that have seen complete oppression of a system, who have seen autocracy and who have rebelled against it. And so pirates were rebels of when the system was getting corrupt and when the system was getting stifling. And they would have to, like in this universe, everything works on a pendulum. So when the pendulum swings too much to one end, you have to swing it back completely the other end before it comes back to the middle. That's just the nature of reality, the wave. Right? And so when the wave crested in the music industry, you had your internet and Napster and your big eras which came and just cut the legs, literally sliced the legs out of the whole music industry itself, where mass music was made available for free to everybody. People were rebelling against the whole idea of paying $20 for an album. But then again, it hurt the artists, right, in a big way, and there was a huge rebellion.
Right.
Now you're starting to see this middle ground where people are willing to pay for music. They're willing to respect artists, but they're not willing to be extorted, right? They're willing to have a fair exchange of value, right, in the way they see. And so I feel for us in today's world, we have to create a framework and a system to really, really honor that. And we have to be able to share more than what was traditionally shared before. Our offering is going to just be a little bit greater. And I see you, Elijah, creating like an unlabel instead of a music label, almost like an unlabel, where it's not about labeling anybody. It's really about allowing each individual self-expression to be within the collective container.
Well said, brother. Yeah.
And I think they're going to have a lot of artists that are going to go for the unlabel, that are going to want to participate in a new way of collectively promoting each other. And all that really will come down to is getting the networks on board, getting your mp3.com, your CD Baby, getting your big networks to say, hey, here's our vision, here's what we want to do. Will you get on board with us and collectively promote? Because today with the internet, it's really going to come down to your lists.
Right.
Honestly.
Exactly.
You can have all the complications and all the vision you want. You have 3 companies who are willing to send their list of 10 million people each. You're golden.
That's it.
You secure a couple of good contracts with a couple of good lists that are really out there, that really believe in your vision. You're set.
Right.
That's all you need.
It's true. It's true. We have come to that point where it really is just like a click of a button, and you're in front of the global collective. And so those oftentimes who have those huge lists may or may not have anything great to say.
Nope. And
at the same time, we're all kind of finding each other and looking at how to utilize this platform of the internet to reflect the internet, which is that true consciousness grid of where we're being informed from. And once those two sync up, we're going to be having a lot of fun.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And I can see you growing, Elijah. Are you ready to be in concerts with thousands of people?
I am ready.
Are you ready for that?
I'm ready
to hold that container.
I'm ready to hold a container that is as big as my heart is willing to go. And so far, I'm able to hold the whole heart in the whole world in my heart. When I get quiet and when I get humble, like in this moment with you, brother, the whole world can fit in here. And so, I'm ready to play concerts in front of however many people are willing to listen.
This is Elijah Ray from the Band of Light, one of the most beautiful, profound artists, friends, healers, and genuine soul family, heart tribe brothers I've ever come across. And I love to see you in the world in a big way and carrying MJ's vision. And this is going to be going in our documentary, Man in the Mirror, which will be shared with tens of millions of people around the world, who will all be connecting through this portal, looking for the deeper meaning behind MJ and why he touched them so deeply. Because he touched people so deeply. People felt so much love for him, so much overwhelming joy, and there's a reason and an essence behind that wasn't being explored, that we're here to explore together.
Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, it's very much needed, because his legacy and everything he's left behind is so tangible, and it's like a gold mine for those who have the eyes and the ears to really see it and hear it for what it is. Behind the form again of his music and his dance, and it was his vision. And thank you for helping to bring his vision out to more beings.
You too, my brother.